Coming up on Chicago Bears Now, voluntary workouts, I'll put it in air quotes, have begun for the Bears as players return to Hallis Hall. Keyword being voluntary, not everybody is there. There's a wild Marvin Harrison Jr. theory, using the word report, air quotes again, but that's the juicy part of the video, so stay tuned for that. And an interesting draft target at number 75 overall to discuss. We'll get into all of that here on today's episode. But listen, the most likes we have gotten on a video in the month of April is 1,168. We're starting at 0 on today's show. Can we get to 1,169? Very nice on today's show. Let's make it a competition. Hit that like button. Let's get 1,200 plus likes. All right, back at Hallis Hall, the Bears have players returning to the building with, again, those voluntary workouts is a loose term, as several NFL teams return to the facilities today. I think 21 teams in total, because teams with new head coaches, et cetera, were allowed to get started a week earlier. Now, for the first 2 weeks of these voluntary workouts, access to the building, which you're not allowed to be at throughout the full portion of the offseason, these are the things to expect these first couple of weeks: player meetings, strength and conditioning type of exercises, physical rehab workouts, like if guys are injured in the offseason, stemming from injuries at the end of last year, if they picked up an injury in the offseason, whatever, you can do full rehab stuff with the trainers, etc. That type of stuff is available. And then after 2 weeks, non-contact drills can take place. So, real OTAs won't happen until the month of May, and that's when kind of more organized drills and team things start to take place. But non-contact drills in a couple weeks, so maybe there's some nuggets that come out of that, but I don't think there's a ton to take away. I will say this, and those people asking, so what is the value of this, Harrison? Well, it's always good to get back in the building, right? Hey, what's up? How's your offseason going? Start building that team chemistry, because it's a new team every year, even if players who returned, and obviously with new teammates here, new coaches, guys like Keenan Allen, and we'll see if he's there at some of the voluntary stuff, especially the coaching stuff, like the offensive side of the football, whole new staff. You could start loosely installing scheme here, like, again, you're not doing drills, but, the classroom type of stuff, and start learning all of that. So, there is value in that sense of the regard. How much does it mean on the field come September? Probably not a ton, but it's always nice to get back in the building and have teammates and coaches catch up, and, some introductions in a lot of cases as well. Okay, let's get to the part of the video you guys have been waiting for. Is Marvin Harrison Jr. tanking his stock? Sounds crazy, right? And to be frank, I think it is. But let's get into this. Big Ten analyst hops on a podcast, we'll get to his name in a moment, saying Marvin Harrison Jr. is trying to hurt his draft stock, per what he's heard. The reason is he wants to play for the Chicago Bears. Of course, the Bears are not going to take MHJ number 1 because they're going to take Caleb Williams. But could he hurt his stock enough to either A, fall to number 9, or fall into trade-up range, 5, 6, etc., for Chicago? So here's Joey Christopoulos. Maybe you're familiar with him, Big Ten Network guy. He said this: I've talked to a few people, and I've tried to get it confirmed. At the time, Marvin Harrison was blowing off the combine, blowing off his pro day. He was just not showing up. What I've kind of been told, and this is not confirmed, is that Marvin Harrison wants to play for the Chicago Bears. So, forgive me for being skeptical. Number one, the guy did say twice. I haven't been able to confirm it. But he clearly has heard something about Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, the question is, who told him that? Was this just some Joe Schmo down the street? Was this someone within the Ohio State football program as a Big Ten analyst that he would maybe have access to? Is this like someone way far down the line in Marvin's camp? Who knows? But this would not make sense from Marvin's standpoint, because the lower you go, the more money you lose. Think of every pick as a draft slot. Number 1 pick makes the most guaranteed money, so on and so forth. So if you're Marvin Harrison Jr., you want to go as high as possible, at least you would think. This is where it gets at least more reasonable from Joey. He says, I'm not saying he'll fall to number 9, but if J.J. McCarthy goes at number 4, a.k.a. after the top 3 quarterbacks, Williams, May, Daniels, I think there could be a deal with the Chargers at number 5. The value is probably going to be next year's Panthers second-round pick that the Bears have, or the Bears' own second-round pick. That's what I've been saying for weeks. So, like, that's not really an original thought, right? Like, hey, if Marvin does fall to number 5 instead of going 3 or 4, which a couple months ago was maybe the thought, now Patriots probably either taking a QB or trading down. Cardinals viewed as a team that could trade down. If he gets to 5 to the Chargers, who many believe want to build through the trenches, and Jim Harbaugh can still get his hands on an offensive tackle at number 9, maybe you could work something out. This is the trade I've thrown out there several times over the past 2 or 3 weeks. You swap 9 and 5, give them Carolina's pick from next year in the second round, top 40-ish pick. Maybe you have to throw a third pick in there, like a fourth or something like that, sweeten the deal. I've made it clear I would not give up a first-round pick next year. I don't think Ryan Poles would. I would do this deal, but we'll see. Again, I am very skeptical that MHJ would hurt his stock to fall. Now, could he want to play for the Bears? Sure. Like, I could buy the idea that he wants to play with Caleb Williams and want to play in Chicago. Tanking his stock, though, costs himself hundreds of thousands, if not a couple $1,000,000. That seems like a stretch to me. More on this coming up, but first, got to tell you about our sponsor, PrizePicks. Listen, NBA playoffs are upon us, NHL playoffs. The puck is going to drop soon. This is the time to get in on all of the action. Make it fun. Daily fantasy made easy at prizepicks.com/CLNS. If you use the code CLNS, you can get a deposit match up to $100. NBA play-in action. The Bulls take on the Hawks on Wednesday. Give me the more on DeMar DeRozan. Points, rebounds, assists, 41.5. Same with Trae Young, 37.5. I like both those guys to light up the score sheet coming up in a couple of days. Hopefully the Bulls get it done. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a deposit match up to $100. Make entries in less than a minute. Create your account in less than 2 minutes. It's easy. 2 to 6 player entries, more or less on different stat projections, different sports. It's a lot of fun. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS as well. I'm seeing that super chat in the comments. We will get to you. Jealousy coming up in a moment. But back to Marvin Harrison Jr. I just think, look, if he falls to 5, there's no harm in getting on the phone. We've talked about the player. He's 6'4", 205. I think he's a supercharged A.J. Green, and what I mean by that is he's got the length and the high point ability and the jump ball style that A.J. had, but I think he's much better after the catch. I think the route running's a little more crisp as well. And this potential trio for 2024 of DJ and Marvin on the outside with Keenan Allen in the slot, if Marvin hits, you could make a strong argument this is the best trio in the NFL. I mean, you really could. The question, again, is he worth it? Is Marvin Harrison Jr. that much better than the rest of the receivers? I do think he's a notch better. And if you're worried about a receiver not falling to 9 at all, then yeah, you should absolutely consider it. Again, I'm not giving up a first-round pick. Not giving up a future first. I don't think he's that worth it. But if you can get him without giving up a future first, I'm pulling the trigger. Now, I'm not going to give up 3 or 4 seconds or something like that, but if it's a framework of a trade that I've thrown out there, swap 9 and 5, give up that Carolina pick, which is going to be close to a first-round pick. Maybe you add a day 3 pick, either your 4th this year or a 4th next year. I'm in. I would make that trade if I'm Ryan Poles. I would take the chance because I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is as close to a can't-miss prospect in this entire NFL draft. Not only is he safe, the ceiling is absolutely massive. If you want Marvin Harrison Jr., spam MHJ down in the comment section below. Prove it to me. I know you guys want Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's get it popping. MHJ's down in the comment section below. Be sure to hit the subscribe button here on Bears Now by Chat Sports. We're going to continue to keep you guys up to the latest NFL draft news and rumors around this football team, other Bears storylines. We got it all. Don't miss out. YouTube.com/BearsNow. Spread the word to a friend. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. All right. Is a new sleeper draft target emerging at number 75? Well, ESPN dropped a 3-round mock draft where Mel Kiper and Field Yates alternated picks. The first 2 picks were Caleb Williams, Romadunze, real shocker. So let's focus on a new name here. Kareem Amegaji, I believe I got that right. Kieran Amegaji in round 3, the Yale offensive tackle, who we've maybe referenced once or twice, but we have not talked about him much. Kiper says Amegaji played just 4 games last season after tearing his quad muscle in October. Ouch. but he has intriguing traits at 6'5". I thought about an edge for the Bears, but there aren't many likely to play early in this range. I'd rather take a flyer on a Mega G. For those wondering, he did not test at the Combine or his Pro Day due to it recovering from that quad. He did do bench. I think he did 21 reps, but didn't run. I mean, the quad is still recovering there, so didn't do that. But in terms of measurables, they're outstanding. He's almost 6'5 and a half, 6'5 and 3/8, 323, 36 and an eighth inch arms, which is excellent. And big hands, above average at over 9.5. Not massive, like J.C. Latham has 11-inch hands, but Joe Alt has 10. But above average, like Olu's at 8.5, which is small. So good hand size there. I like taking a swing here in round 3, and I do wonder if this factors into the Bears draft thinking, like, okay, maybe the edges in round 1 aren't stars, but after you get beyond the first 3 or 4, it's a big drop-off. Whereas with tackle, you might find a future starter in the 3rd round. A Patrick Paul could be sitting there. A Mega G could be sitting there. Who's the other small-town kid that's getting hype in this draft? I'm completely blanking on his name. There's another FCS tackle in this draft that's getting some love on day 2. So I do wonder how Ryan Poles and his staff factor that in. But obviously, in this case, I like the value because you could basically just redshirt him. Braxton Jones, still more than, capable of being your left tackle. He could be your swing guy while developing, and then, in 2025, you figure out where he plays. Does he replace Braxton? Can he play guard? We'll have to wait and see, but I think at 75, it's definitely worth the swing there. Now, who is your favorite sleeper draft prospect? Drop a name that we haven't talked about much here on this channel. Let me know who that prospect is for the Chicago Bears.